So this is the MCQ page for Nawabs of Bengal. So let's start some MCQs. There are at least I think 20 of them. Let me just check how many are there. Okay, so there are 20 MCQs. So we are going to solve around 20 extent MCQs. So let us do that. Let us solve some MCQs. Now in case if you don't want to solve these MCQs by watching this video, but definitely want to solve it your own, all you have to do is just go through the method I have pasted, or I have just entered this link in the description box. You just use the link and just straight away come to this page. Okay, so let's start with the first question. In which battle did Sarfaraz Khan defeated by Alivardi Khan? Now, Sarfaraz Khan was basically the grandson of the founder, that is Murshid Quli Khan. And Sarfaraz Khan was basically a weak, incompetent Nawab of Bengal. He was really a puppet in the hands of few nobles. And that is why an able noble, that is Alivardi Khan, decided to throw him off. And in the battle of Giriya, Sarfaraz Khan was defeated. Okay, it was done by Alivardi Khan, and Alivardi Khan became the next Nawab of Bengal. Okay, when did Alivardi Khan became the Bengal Nawab? So Alivardi Khan became the Nawab of Bengal in 1740. So the correct answer is 1740. Okay, when was Murshid Quli Khan appointed as the governor of Bengal? Now remember this, Murshid Quli Khan was appointed as the governor of Bengal in 1717. Now during this time, Murshid Quli Khan was actually trying to become an independent ruler. Okay, and he actually started to break off even before the death of Aurangzeb. Aurangzeb was in Deccan during that time. Okay, remember this, Aurangzeb was not a guy to be messed with, but still Murshid Quli Khan was so able that he decided to break away from the Mughal Empire even when Aurangzeb was alive. Okay, so Aurangzeb was one of the most powerful Mughal ruler, and yet Murshid Quli Khan decided that I'm going to build my own empire, own kingdom. Okay, so the correct answer is 1717. He was actually appointed the governor of Bengal in 1717. So the correct answer is 1717. Who appointed Murshid Quli Khan as the governor of Bengal? So we have a guy called as Dost Muhammad, that is wrong. Muhammad Shah, that can be true. Akbar too, that can be true. And Farooq Siyar. So basically these three are later Mughal rulers. Now out of these three, I have a feeling that the correct answer is Muhammad Shah. Let's explore. Let's check. Okay, so I'm just ticking it on Muhammad Shah. Okay, so let's check if our answers are wrong, our answers are right. Okay, when we just finish this exam, you will get a perspective how to solve these MCQs. Okay, who signed the Farman of 1717? Now remember this, Farman of 1717 was signed by Farooq Siyar, and this was an important sermon. And because of this sermon, India lost its glory to the British. British was able to capture India. The basic tenets of this Farman was the Britishers was able to do commercial activities in parts of Bengal, Bihar and Orissa without paying any tax. Okay, so this Farman was one of the reasons why Britishers became the power in India. So the correct answer is it was given by Farooq Siyar. Okay, remember this, who appointed Murshid Quli Khan as the governor of Bengal? I have a feeling that this answer is wrong. Okay, but still I'm keeping it as option B. The reason is I'm going to show you how this MCQ section is going to work. Okay, so the correct answer in case of fifth is Farooq Siyar. When was Mir Jafar replaced by Mir Qasim as new Bengal Nawab? Now Mir Qasim was defeated in the Battle of Plassey. Okay, that was 1757, and in 1760 Mir Jafar replaced I'm getting it wrong. So basically Siraj-ud-Dawla was defeated by Mir Jafar. Let me just explain you better. Let me just take out my pen. Okay, so basically Siraj-ud-Dawla was defeated or betrayed by Mir Jafar. Okay, technically he was defeated by the Britishers, and Britishers imposed a guy called as Mir Jafar on the throne of Nawab. Okay, so Mir Jafar became the Nawab of Bengal. That was 1757. Okay, and the Battle of Plassey was fought in 1757. Now Mir Jafar started behaving a very arrogant fool. He was basically a puppet of the Britishers, but he started to try to be free. He started becoming independent. And the Britishers didn't like it. And he was replaced by his son-in-law, that is Mir Qasim. So Mir Qasim replaced Mir Jafar in 1760. So the correct answer is 1760. So let me just remove this. So the correct answer is 1760. Okay, question 7. Which Bengal Nawab fought the Battle of Plassey? Now, this is something we have discussed. Now, the Battle of Plassey was fought by Siraj ud Dawla. Okay, so he had a general called as Mir Jafar. Mir Jafar actually betrayed Siraj ud Dawla for the Britishers, and the Britishers defeated Siraj ud Dawla. And Siraj ud Dawla was later captured and executed under the orders of Mir Jafar himself. And as you know, Mir Jafar was later dethroned or removed from the office by Britishers in 1760 and replaced him with his son-in-law, that is Mir Qasim. And Mir Qasim was defeated again in a battle of Buxar, that is 1764. So the correct answer is which Bengal Nawab fought the battle of Plassey, that is Siraj ud Dawla. So the correct option is option A, Siraj ud Dawla. So let me just correct this. Siraj ud Dawla. Seventh correct answer is Siraj ud Dawla, who divided Bengal into 4 administrative zones. Now, basically, when Murshid Quli Khan, the first Nawab of Bengal, died, he was succeeded by his son, that is Shujauddin. Okay, now Shujauddin was an able ruler, and he basically divided Bengal into 4 administrative zones. And this was helpful because eventually, under Shujauddin, Bengal became a very prosperous state. Okay, so the correct answer is Shujauddin. So let me just mark option C. Okay, what is meant by the term Takavi? Okay, so remember this: when Murshid Quli Khan took the title of the Nawab of Bengal, he tried his best to improve the agriculture of that place. Now, Bengal was definitely one of the richest province in the Mughal Empire, but Murshid Quli Khan went a step further. He decided to create a loan. Okay, he created a loan. Okay, so basically the loan was something like this. So interest-free loan was given to poor, landless farmers. Okay, farmers or cultivators. So this loan was interest-free or very negligible interest. So this agriculture loan was known as Takavi. So basically, the essence was that he wanted to help the poor to become more prosperous. He wanted the agriculture to grow. He wanted overall to make sure that Bengal remains a prosperous state. So the correct answer is agriculture loans. Takavi basically means agriculture loans. Okay, and this experiment was really successful, and it is one of the reason why under Murshid Quli Khan and later by Shujauddin, Bengal actually became a very prosperous state. Okay, who fought the Battle of Buxar? So obviously, we know this, it was Mir Qasim. Now, the events leading to Battle of Buxar is very simple, and let me just explain this again. So, we have Siraj ud Dawla. Okay, so his general was Mir Jafar. Okay, Siraj ud Dawla fought against the Britishers in the Battle of Plassey, that is 1757. He was betrayed by his general, that is Mir Jafar, and Siraj ud Dawla was defeated and later executed. And Mir Jafar became the Nawab of Bengal in 1757. Okay, remember this, 1757, Mir Jafar became the Nawab of Bengal. Later, Mir Jafar tried to be independent from Britishers, and that is why he was removed in 1760. And he was replaced by Mir Qasim, his son-in-law. Okay, so Mir Qasim decided to be free from the Britishers. And in 1764, the Battle of Buxar was fought. And Mir Qasim Mir Qasim and the Mughal Emperor, as along with the Nawab of Awadh, they all decided to become a team and tried to defeat the Britishers, but eventually they were all defeated. Mir Qasim escaped and he died in poverty. So the correct answer is Mir Qasim. This was the guy who fought the Battle of Buxar. Okay, so let me just mark Mir Qasim. When was the Battle of Plassey fought? It's a very important question and a very easy question. It's 1757. You have to remember this, 1757. This Nawab agreed to pay 12 lakh annum to Marathas as chow to Marathas. Now, from 1740s to 1761, the Marathas were the paramount power in India. The Mughals were not. It was only up to 1712, the Mughals were the paramount power. But after that, their power they slowly started declining. So the paramount power during this time was the Marathas. And everyone was scared of Marathas. Okay, so let me just explain you better. So let me just open the pen once again. Okay. Okay, so let me just draw a map of India. So this is the map of India. So we have Kashmir here, we have Nepal here, we have Bengal, we have Rajasthan, we have Gujarat, and we have the whole South India. Okay, so this is the whole India. Sorry about my map work. I'm really bad at this. Okay, okay. So basically, here was the Mughals. Okay, by 1740 they were only restricted to small place. Here was the Nawab of Bengal. Okay, and here was Nawab of Awadh. Okay, and this whole area. Okay, here is Nawab of Hyderabad, and here is Carnatic states. Here is Travancore kingdom. So basically, this whole area up to here, basically all of them belong to the Marathas. The Marathas by 1758 actually reached up to Lahore near Attock. Their empire reigned from Attock to Cuttack. That's the name, Attock to Cuttack. Okay, so basically the Marathas gave the choice, either you pay taxes, that is known as Chawat, or your kingdom will be invaded. So the Nawab who agreed to pay 12 lakh annum to Marathas as Chawat is basically Ali Vardi Khan. Okay, so the correct answer is Ali Vardi Khan. It is basically an embarrassment for any ruler to pay Chawat to Marathas. Okay, where was the new capital of Bengal Nawabs located? So earlier the Bengal Nawabs, okay, when Murshid Quli Khan started as the new Bengal Nawab, he actually had the capital in Dhaka, which was later shifted to Murshidabad. Okay. Now, one of the reason why it was shifted to Murshidabad was Murshidabad was close to was on the banks of River Ganga, and on the banks of River Ganga, many European countries, like especially the East Indian Company, was establishing their bases. So Murshid Quli Khan decided that I should keep an eye on these guys, okay, these foreign European powers. So, and he was actually right. He was actually very smart. He knew that these foreign powers has had inferior designs. So that is why he actually established his own capital at Murshidabad. So where he can look at the activities of the Britishers and other foreign European countries, foreign powers. So the correct answer is Murshidabad. When was the Treaty of Alinagar signed? Okay, so basically Alinagar Treaty was signed somewhere before the start of Battle of Plassey. Okay, so Battle of Plassey started in 1757 and the correct answer is 1757. The Treaty of Alinagar was signed in 1761, that is option A. In which stages of Battle of Plassey, in the initial stages of Battle of Plassey, which factory of English was seized by Bengal Nawab? Now, the initial stages of Battle of Plassey, the Nawab simply marched, okay, and without any proper planning or anything, Siraj-ud-Dawla decided to take action against the Britishers, or basically the East Indian Company. And he basically confiscated all the items of a factory, English factory located in Kasim Bazar. Okay, so the correct answer is Kasim Bazar. Who was the second Nawab of Bengal? That is obviously very easy. Okay, so here we have a ton of choices. So the correct answer is Shuja-ud-Din. When was the Battle of Buxar fought? Now this is a very important question. Battle of Plassey was fought in 1757 and after 7 years, in 1764, Battle of Buxar was fought. So the correct answer is 1764. Where is Murshidabad located? Now this is something I have told you earlier. Murshidabad is actually located on the banks of river Ganga. Okay, so the correct answer is banks of river Ganga. Munger was made as the new capital of Bengal by this Nawab. So Munger was made the new capital by Mir Qasim. So the earlier capital was Dhaka, which was changed to Murshidabad, and after that it was changed to Munger. And it is one of the reasons why Battle of Buxar was fought, because the English never liked the idea of a new capital being formed in Munger. So the correct answer is Mir Qasim. It was Mir Qasim who shifted the capital from Murshidabad to Munger. Which Nawab converted the Jagir lands of Bengal into Khalisa land? So basically, the idea was that, I hope you know the Jagir system of Mughals. So when a military ruler or a noble, okay, does some exemplary work for the Mughal emperor, he was given the Jagir, or basically the land ownership. Now when Bengal became an independent state, the Nawab of Bengal decided that there won't be any Jagirs, there won't be any Jagir land. All the land in Bengal will be belong to the Nawab of Bengal. So basically, the correct answer is Murshid Quli Khan. He was the first Nawab of Bengal, and he made the decision that all the lands in Bengal belong to the Nawab. Okay, so it is known as the Khalisa land. Okay, so basically, we have solved all 20 of them. Now, let me just click on finish and let's check how many of our answers are right. Okay, so one of our answers are wrong. Okay, we obviously know that which answer it is. So let me just scroll down. Okay, okay, so it is showing this as wrong. Okay, who appointed Murshid Quli Khan as the governor of Bengal? Now we had marked it as Muhammad Shah, but the correct answer is Farooq Siyar. So the correct answer is Farooq Siyar. So this was all about the Nawab of Bengal. Here we are going to solve some MCQs on Hyderabadi Nizams. So let's start with the first question. When was the state of Hyderabad formed? Now, as you may already know, or if you don't know, Hyderabadi state was established by Asaf Jah in 1724. Now remember this. So basically, let me just tell you how this system works. Okay. So basically, this is India. Okay, so this is India, and after the death of Aurangzeb, that is 1707. Okay, the death of Aurangzeb happened in 1707. The Mughal Empire was nearly up to here. Okay, so this was the Mughal Empire. Okay, and this place belonged to Marathas. Okay, and rest of them was Mughal Empire. Now, in 1724, a guy called as Asaf Jah, that was the title. It's actually a full name, that is Kamruddin something. So, Asaf Jah decided to form his own independent kingdom. Now, he, even though decided to form his own independent kingdom, he was definitely not independent because he depended on the resources from the Mughal Empire. So, he actually founded a state in this region, okay, and this region came to be known as Hyderabadi Nizam. Okay, so the state was founded in 1724. So the correct answer, let me just mark it as 1724. Okay, so this is our correct answer. Now let me just take you to the next question. So the next question is, who was known as the Nizam ul Mulk? Now this is a title that was given by Farooq Siyar. Now this title was given to a guy called as Kamruddin Siddiqui. Now, Kamruddin Siddiqui was a guy who later came to be known as Asaf Jah or Nizam-e-Mulk or as the first Nizam of Hyderabad. So, the correct answer is option B, Kamruddin Siddiqui. Okay, when was the Battle of Karnal fought? So, obviously, if you don't know this, Taimur, okay, I'm sorry, not Taimur, Nadir Shah. Nadir Shah invaded India. Okay, so when Nadir Shah invaded India, so three Indian powers went to Karnal to stop him. The three powers were, let me just describe them. Okay, so the three powers were, one of them was the Mughal Emperor. Okay, one of them was the Mughal Emperor. Then the other was Nawab of Awadh, and the third one was Nawab of Hyderabad. Okay, so these were the three powers. So as you may already know this, the invasion was successful. Okay, the Indian powers, that is the Mughals, the Nawab and the Nawab of Hyderabad, these failed to stop the invasion of Nadir Shah. Nadir Shah was the invader. And a pitched battle was fought on Karnal in 1739. And the Mughal emperor as well as the Nawab of Awadh, they were taken as prisoner. Okay, Nawab of Hyderabad somehow escaped. He actually didn't participate in the battle. He did go there, but he just failed to report. Let's imagine something like that. So he actually escaped this. And the Mughal emperor as well as the the Nawab of Awadh, they were both taken as prisoner. And unfortunately, the first Nawab of Awadh, that is Shuja, the first Nawab of Awadh, he died in captivity in basically Nadir Shah's camp. He was of course released, but for some reason he died of illness there. So the correct answer is 1739. I repeat this again: the three Indian powers, the Mughals, the Nawab of Awadh and Nawab of Hyderabad or Nizam of Hyderabad, they were all defeated by the invader Nadir Shah. And this battle happened in Karnal, 1739. Remember this. Okay. So let us go to the next question. Okay. Who was the Diwan of Hyderabad state? Now, there is an important thing should know about the Hyderabad state. Despite its bad reputation, Hyderabad state was actually very secular. The first ruler, that is Asaf Jah or Nizam-e-Mulk, or Kamaruddin Siddiqui. Basically, these are the names of Kamaruddin Siddiqui. He was actually very secular, and he actually treated both his Muslim subjects and Hindu subjects very well. And this policy was followed by rest of the Nizams. Okay, so the correct answer is, who was the Diwan of Hyderabad state? It is Puran Chand. Okay, so the correct answer is Puran Chand. Now, what was the name of the dynasty that ruled over Hyderabad? Now, the dynasty was started by a guy called as Asaf Jah, and it is later known as Asaf Jahi dynasty. So, the correct answer is Asaf Jah. So, let me just correct this, Asaf Jah. Which Mughal emperor made Asaf as the new Wazir of Mughal Empire for his loyalty? Now, this is a very interesting question. Now, remember this. Mughal Empire, after the death of Aurangzeb in 1707, became weak. Okay, so basically the Mughal emperor had to depend on nobles. Okay, so there were many nobles, there were actually many factions. We had the Turani faction, we had the Irani faction, we had the Afghani faction, we have the Rajputs, we had the faction of the Indian Muslims. So basically there were many factions. Okay, so out of all these factions, there was a faction who actually supported the previous Mughal ruler, that is Farooq Siyar. And this faction was led by a bunch of brothers called as the Sayyid brothers. Now, eventually, Farooq Siyar decided to free himself from Sayyid brothers. And that is why Sayyid brothers decided to kill him. Okay, Farooq Siyar was killed by Sayyid brothers. And Sayyid brothers later installed a Mughal ruler called as Muhammad Shah. Okay, remember this, Muhammad Shah was installed by Sayyid brothers. Now, Muhammad Shah also realized that he was actually a puppet in the hands of Sayyid brothers. And Muhammad Shah decided to get himself free. So basically, he took the help of the Nizam of Hyderabad, that is Asaf Jah. Okay, so he took the help of Nizam of Hyderabad, and so basically he took the help of Nizam of Hyderabad, that is Asaf Jah, and the combined forces of Mughals as well as the Hyderabadi kings, Hyderabadi Nizams, they defeated the Sayyid brothers. Okay, and the Sayyid brothers were executed. So, in favor of the loyalties displayed by Asaf Jah, Muhammad Shah, the Mughal emperor, decided to give him a new title, that is the Wazir of Mughal Empire. So, the correct answer is Muhammad Shah. It was Muhammad Shah who bestowed the title Wazir on Asaf Jah or Nizam-e-Mulk. Okay, so the correct answer is Muhammad Shah. Okay, option A. When was the Battle of Shakar-e-Kheda was fought? Now, this is not really important battle, but just remember the date. The date is 1724. So basically, what happened is when Farooq Siyar made Asaf Jah as the Nizam-e-Mulk, he was actually called to Delhi. And by then, there was another guy in Deccan who started ruling the parts of the Nizam. Okay, so when Asaf Jah came back to Deccan, he had to fight against this new guy. And this battle was called as Battle of Shakar-Kheda. And this was fought in 1724. And after that, the Hyderabadi state was established. So the correct answer is 1724. Okay. Okay, so the Maratha Peshwa contemporary to Asaf Jah. Now the Peshwa that is contemporary to Asaf Jah, there are actually two Peshwas who were contemporary to Asaf Jah. One is Balaji Vishwanath and the other is Baji Rao. Now let us explore the options. So the first option is Baji Rao II, which is actually wrong. Baji Rao II actually started ruling from 1790s or 1800s. Okay, so this is obviously wrong. Option B is kind of right. Okay, Balaji Vishwanath. Madhavrao is also wrong because Madhavrao started ruling as a Peshwa after the Battle of Panipat, that is 1761. Similarly, Raghunath Rao also started ruling after the Battle of Panipat, that is 1773 or to 1774. Raghunath Rao had actually the role assigned as a role as a Peshwa for only 1 year. Okay, so the correct answer is option B, Balaji Vishwanath. There were two contemporary Peshwas of Asaf Jah, that is Balaji Vishwanath as well as Baji Rao. Okay, the Mughal emperor who was executed under the orders of Sayyid brothers. Now this is something we have discussed earlier. It was Farooq Siyar who was brought in power by Sayyid brothers. Then Farooq Siyar decided that he wanted to get rid of the Sayyid brothers. So Sayyid brothers executed him. Okay, so the correct answer is Farooq Siyar. Who awarded the title Nizam-e-Mulk to Asaf Jah? Okay, so Nizam-e-Mulk title was awarded to Asaf Jah by Farooq Siyar. Now the title of Wazir was awarded by Muhammad Shah. Okay, there is a difference. Okay, so let me just explain you better. So So let me just take you to the pen. So we have Farooq Siyar, okay, and he was helped by this guy called as Asaf Jah. Asaf Jah is also known as Nizam-e-Mulk, okay. His real name was Kamaruddin, okay, Kamaruddin. You obviously know that. Okay, and there are many other names like Kalichi Khan and something more. Okay, so these are all the names he had. And he was also known as the Nizam-e-Mulk. And the title he was given by Farooq Siyar was Nizam-e-Mulk. Okay, and later, for his loyalty, the next Mughal ruler, that is Muhammad Shah, gave him the title that is Wazir. Okay, so the correct answer is Farooq Siyar. Okay, the person who awarded the title of Nizam-e-Mulk to Asaf Jah was Farooq Siyar. Okay, so these were the 10 excellent MCQs. Now let me just click on finish so that let's check how many of our answers are right. Okay, so one of our answers are wrong. Okay, so we got the result 9 out of 10. So let us check which answer is wrong. Oh, unfortunately, we didn't mark this answer, question 3. Okay, so the correct answer is 1739. We actually failed to mark this answer. That is why it is showing only 9 out of 10. Okay, so the correct answer is 1739. And let's start solving 40 excellent MCQs on Marathas. So, first one, when was the Mughal Sanat signed? So, basically, what happened is around 1719, in 1719, when Marathas were rising in power under the leadership of Balaji Vishwanath, okay, Balaji Vishwanath. So, basically, the Mughal emperor signed a treaty with them. Okay, because the Mughals were really getting scared of Marathas. Marathas were rising in power. So that is why he signed a treaty. And the treaty was Mughal Sanat, and this Mughal Sanat was signed in 1719. I repeat this again, it was signed in 1719. So the correct answer is 1719, option D. Okay. Now the second question, this Peshwa fought in 1857 civil rebellion. Now, technically, this guy is not the Peshwa. Okay, he is not regarded really as the Peshwa, but it can be said that this guy, for some, he is a Peshwa. Okay, and he fought in the 1857 rebellion. Now, we have the option Baji Rao 1. Nope. The second option is Narayan Rao. Nope. The third option is Madhav Rao. Nope. The fourth option, that is Nana Sahib 2, that is the correct option. Okay, so basically, Nana Sahib was defeated in 1857. I repeat this again. 1857 civil rebellion, he fought alongside with Rani Lakshmi Bai and he was defeated. So the correct answer is Nana Sahib. He fought against the Britishers and was defeated. Okay, then we have question 3. When was the Treaty of Salbai signed? Now basically the Treaty of Salbai was signed when after the Anglo-Maratha War. Okay, after the first Anglo-Maratha War, when the Britishers were defeated. Anglo basically means our Britishers. Okay, so let me just explain. Okay, let me just take out my pen. Now, around 1780s, the Marathas were recovering from the defeat of Panipat. As you may already know, in 1761, the Marathas were defeated, okay, in the Battle of Panipat. So, after the defeat, the Marathas were gradually recovering under the leadership of Nana Fadnavis, Madhav Rao, and of course, the last, Madhaji Scindia. Okay, Madhaji Scindia. Now, in 1782, the first Anglo-Maratha War was fought, and Mahadaji Scindia defeated the Britishers, and Britishers were forced to sign the humiliating Treaty of Salbai. Okay, so the correct answer is the Treaty of Salbai was signed in 1782. Okay, so the correct answer is 1782. So let's explore the fourth question. Who is regarded as the 10th Peshwa? Now, this guy was never the Peshwa. Okay, there are total of 9 Peshwa, but this guy was the adopted son of the 9th Peshwa. So we have the 9th Peshwa, okay, 9th Peshwa as Balaji Bajirao II. Bajirao II, and he didn't have any son. So he adopted a guy and he was given the title as Nana Sahib. So Nana Sahib is technically regarded as the 10th Peshwa, but there are only 9 Peshwa. Now, for many, he is considered as a Peshwa. So the correct answer is Nana Sahib 2. Now, in the previous MCQ, we have learned that Nana Sahib actually fought alongside with Rani Lakshmi Bai to defeat the Britishers. But Nana Sahib and Rani Lakshmi Bai were defeated by the Britishers. So the correct answer is fourth option A, that is Nana Sahib II. Okay, so let's explore the fifth question. The first Peshwa to be killed due to court politics. Now remember this, Peshwas used to live in a place called as Shaniwata. Shaniwata is a place in Pune. Okay, and the person, the Peshwa, the first Peshwa to be killed because of court politics was Narayan Rao. Okay, so the option is correct option is fifth D. Okay, so the correct option is fifth D. Let me just take this. Okay, so the Holkars were the rulers of this region. Now, if you are studying for MPPSC, this important is really important. This question is really important because the Holkars were the rulers of the region called as Indore. They were actually instrumental in developing this region. They actually made many temples, many buildings, many things. Okay, and that is why they were regarded as the people who really developed Indore. So the correct answer is Indore. Sixth correct answer is Indore. Okay, so which Maratha Peshwa recovered the lost fortunes of Maratha Empire after 1761 debacle? Okay, so now this is a very important question because in 1761, okay, so it's a very important date in Indian history. 1761, the Marathas fought against the Afghans. Okay, and Afghans were the winners. So Afghans were led by a guy called as Ahmad Shah Abdali. Ahmad Shah Abdali. Okay. And Marathas were led by a guy called as Sada Shiv Bhau. Sada Shiv Bhau. Okay, Sada Shiv Bhau. And Marathas were defeated. Unfortunate. And they lost their power, they lost their army. But after 1761, okay, within in one single decade, they regained all their power. And this was due to the Peshwa called as Madhav Rao. Okay, remember this is a very important guy. And this guy was instrumental in the term called as Maratha resurrection. Basically, the Marathas were defeated, but because of this guy called as Madhav Rao, their power rose back. Okay, they gradually got their power back. So the correct answer is Madhav Rao. Option B. Seventh option B. Okay, let me just add this. Okay. So let me just cancel all of this. This Peshwa conspired with Sayyid brothers to remove Mughal Emperor Farooq Siyar. Now, if you know something about Indian history, you obviously must have learned about the Sayyid brothers. They were also known as the kingmakers. The Sayyid brothers supported this guy called as Farooq Siyar. Farooq Siyar was the Mughal emperor. Okay, he was supported by Sayyid brothers. Now, Sayyid brothers eventually started becoming more powerful. So Farooq Siyar decided to get rid of them. Okay, Farooq Siyar wanted to get rid of the Sayyid brothers. Sayyid brothers took the help of Marathas. Okay, Maratha was back then the Peshwa. The Maratha Peshwa was Balaji Vishwanath. So Balaji Vishwanath helped Sayyid brothers. He sent an army of 15,000 to help the Sayyid brothers. Okay, and the Sayyid brothers, with help of Balaji Vishwanath, defeated Farooq Siyar, and Farooq Siyar was executed. Farooq Siyar was perhaps the first Mughal emperor who was executed. Remember this is a very important thing because even though there were many conspiracies against the Mughal emperors, but Mughal emperors were regarded as gods. Mughal emperors were never killed. But it was for the first time a Mughal emperor was being killed. Okay, so the correct answer is Farooq Siyar. Farooq Siyar was defeated and killed by Sayyid brothers. And Sayyid brothers was helped by a guy called as Balaji Vishwanath, the first Peshwa. Technically, he's not the first Peshwa, but first Peshwa of importance. So the correct answer is option B. Option B, Balaji Vishwanath. Okay. Now let's go to the ninth question. Which young Peshwa committed suicide? Now this is not really that important question, but the correct answer is Narayan Rao. So basically, what happened? Narayan Rao was. The correct answer is Savai Madhav Rao. So basically, Savai Madhav Rao was a very young ruler, very young Peshwa. And he was brought up by a guy called as Nana Fadnavis. Remember this, Nana Fadnavis. And because of excessive pressure of Nana Fadnavis, this guy eventually committed suicide. Unfortunate. So the correct answer is ninth C, Savai Madhav Rao. Who was Nana Sahib? So basically, this term Nana Sahib was given to a guy called as Balaji Bajirao. Okay, so this is the family history. We have Balaji Vishwanath as the first Peshwa, and then we have Baji Rao. Okay, Baji Rao as the second Peshwa. Now, Baji Rao, you obviously know this guy played. This guy was really important because there is a movie called as Baji Rao Mastani. Remember this? Baji Rao Mastani. So that movie was about this guy. Okay, Baji Rao. Okay, so his father was Balaji Vishwanath, the first Peshwa. The second Peshwa was Baji Rao. And after that, his son, that is Balaji Baji Rao. Balaji Baji Rao. Okay, so he became the third Peshwa. Remember this, he became the third Peshwa. And he was also called as Nana Sahib. Okay, he was also called as Nana Sahib. Okay, so the correct answer is Balaji Baji Rao. Okay. So the Scindias are really famous people. Okay, they are really famous people. Originally, they originated from Maharashtra, but eventually they were given the domain of a region called as Gwalior. Okay, so obviously, if you know something about Scindia, you already know that they are from Gwalior. Okay, so the correct answer is Gwalior. Okay, so question number 12. When was the office of Peshwa abolished? So basically, after the Third Anglo Maratha War, the Peshwas were defeated. And the last Peshwa was Bajirao II. And Bajirao office was abolished in 1818. Okay, so the correct answer is 1818. Option A, 1818. The office of Peshwa was abolished in 1818. Okay. The Gaikwads were the rulers of. Now, the Gaikwads, just like the Holkars, the Scindias, the Bhonsles, they were also another bunch of tribe. Okay, they were also Maratha Sardars, and they actually ruled from the region called as Baroda. Okay, correct answer is Baroda. Which Maratha general led the charge against Ahmad Shah Abdali? Now, this is a really important and really important question because obviously, you know, in 1761, there was the third battle of Panipat. Okay, the third battle of Panipat. It was fought by Marathas, okay, versus the Afghans. Afghans were led by Ahmad Shah Abdali, and Marathas, of course, the true power was vested with Nana Sahib, okay, or Balaji Baji Rao. But Marathas in the battlefield was led by a guy called as Sada Shiv Bhau. Sada Shiv Bhau. Now, this guy is really important, okay, because he was an excellent military ruler, military general, and before the battle of Panipat, he actually never lost any single battle. It was only on the battlefield of Panipat he actually lost. Okay, so the correct answer is Sadashiv. So let me just mark this. Sadashiv Bhau. 14th correct answer is Sadashiv Bhau. Okay. At the height of the power, their kingdom extended from, okay, so by 1758, I repeat, so basically in 1761, okay, I repeat this again over and over again. So in 1761, the battle of Panipat was fought. And before the battle of Panipat, the Marathas were the paramount power. Okay, they were undefeated. They ruled from Cuttack to Attock. This is a term given by Britishers, Cuttack to Attock. So basically, we have Attock in Pakistan. Okay, Attock was a place in Pakistan. It's still there. Okay, and Cuttack, you obviously know, it's somewhere near between West Bengal and Odisha. Okay, so basically, Maratha rule was at the highest, at the height of this glory, from Cuttack to Attock. Okay, it's a saying that we will rule from Cuttack to Attock or Attock to Cuttack. Okay, so the correct answer is Attock to Cuttack. Okay, Attock to Cuttack. Okay. Now, Shivaji's son executed by Aurangzeb. Okay, so now this is again a very important question. So we obviously know that Shivaji was the founder of the Maratha kingdom. Okay, he had a son called as Sambhaji. He actually had two sons. Okay, one of them was Sambhaji. So he became the second Chhatrapati. So first Chhatrapati was Shivaji. The second Chhatrapati or the second Maratha ruler was Sambhaji. Sambhaji was captured by Mughal authorities and he was tortured and later executed by Aurangzeb. So the correct answer is option C, Sambhaji. Okay, let's move on. Okay, so we have when the Treaty of Bassein signed. Okay, so basically the Treaty of Bassein was signed in 1804. Okay, so the correct answer is 1804. When was the first Anglo-Maratha War fought? Now, the first Anglo-Maratha War was fought in from 1775 to 1782. It's a very important date, okay, and one of the reasons for this fight was because one of Baji Rao's son, that is Raghunath or Raghuba, okay, he was also known as Raghuba. He approached Britishers to make him as the Peshwa, but it was opposed by many others, and that is why it led to the war called as the First Anglo-Maratha War. So the correct answer is 1775 to 1782, and the Britishers were defeated, brutally defeated by the Marathas. And because of that, they were forced to sign the Treaty of Salbai. Remember this Treaty of Salbai. Okay. Then we have the question 19th Maratha Civil War refers to. So basically, here's the thing. Let me just explain you better. So we have Shivaji. Okay, he was the founder of Maratha Empire, and he had two sons. Okay, Sambhaji and Raja Ram. Okay, so basically he had two sons. Now Sambhaji became the second ruler, okay, or second Chhatrapati. Shivaji was the first Chhatrapati. And Sambhaji was later captured by Mughals and he was executed. Okay, his son, that is Shahu, okay, Shahu was captured by Aurangzeb, Mughal king, Mughal emperor. Okay, and the Mughals captured Shahu. Shahu was very young. He was maybe 5 or 6 or maybe 7, 8 years old. He was captured by Aurangzeb. And he was kept in the captivity for many, many years. Now, Aurangzeb died in 1707. Okay, Aurangzeb died in 1707. And meanwhile, when Shahu was captured, Rajaram became the third Chhatrapati. And eventually, because of health condition, Rajaram also died. So basically, he had a son, okay, he was an infant, and basically, that infant was supported by his mother, that is Rajaram's wife, that is Tarabai. Remember this is a very important name because she was one of the reasons that Maratha Empire survived and became a really paramount power. Okay, Tarabai. Now, Tarabai didn't want Shahu to be the next ruler. Okay, she wanted her infant son to be the next Chhatrapati or next Maratha ruler. So Shahu, after the death of Aurangzeb, he was released, and Shahu claimed the throne of Maratha Empire. Okay, so Tarabai said no. Okay, and eventually there was a civil war between Shahu and Tarabai. Shahu was supported by a guy called as Balaji Vishwanath. Okay, remember this, Balaji Vishwanath. And eventually Tarabai was defeated and she was, let's say, deposed of. Okay, she was not killed or anything, she was just shunted out. And eventually the winner was Shahu. Okay, so he basically became the next Chhatrapati. Okay, so let me just end this. So basically, the Maratha Civil War refers to the fight between the factions of Shahu and Tarabai. The correct answer is option A, the fight between factions of Shahu and Tarabai. Okay. So again, we have the same question, which Maratha prince was captured and later released in 1707? So the correct answer is Shahu. Okay, his father, that was Shambhaji, was executed by Aurangzeb, but Shahu and his mother was treated very good by Aurangzeb. So the correct answer is Shahu. Okay, so which Peshwa led the Maratha resurrection? Now this is something we have discussed before. It was Madhav Rao who, after the debacle of 1761, restricted Maratha power back. In a span of just 11 years, 11 to 10 years, he just restricted back the Marathas. The Marathas were literally defeated. Okay, they were broken in 1761 after the third battle of Panipat. But it was under the guidance of Nana Fadnavis, Mahadaji Shinde, and of course the Peshwa Madhav Rao, the Marathas again rose back to power. So the correct answer is Madhav Rao, option C, 21. The female leader who led the Maratha struggle against Aurangzeb. Now this is something we have discussed before. Okay, so this is Shivaji. He had a son, that is Shambhaji, as well as Rajaram. Rajaram was married to a woman, that was Tarabai. Okay, when Rajaram died, okay, Tarabai actually took over the control of Marathas, and she was the one who led the charge against the Aurangzeb. Okay, against the Mughals, especially Aurangzeb. So the correct answer is Tarabai. Okay. Then 23, the Indian rulers who allied with Ahmad Shah Abdali in Third Battle of Panipat. Now this is something we have to discuss. So as you may know, 1761, I repeat this again and again, 1761, okay, Third Battle of Panipat. We had two factions, that is Marathas, okay, and then we have Afghans. Now Afghans were supported by two or actually some Muslim rulers from Indian subcontinent along with some Hindu rulers. Some Rajputs also supported Afghans, okay. Despite being Hindus, they also supported Afghans. And the most important ruler who supported Afghans were the Nawab of Awadh, Shujaud okay, Nawab of Awadh. Okay, so the correct answer is option A, Nawab of Awadh. Okay, so let me just go to the 24th question. The Bhosle faction ruled from. So as you may already know this, okay, if you don't know this, it's okay. There were many factions in Maratha kingdom. Okay, some of them were called as Sindhyas. They ruled from Gwalior. Okay, then we have Holkars. They ruled from Indore. Then we have Gaikwads. Okay, they ruled from Baroda. And then there were Bhonsles. Okay, Bhonsle, like Asha Bhonsle. Okay, so they ruled from Nagpur. Okay, so the correct answer is option C, Nagpur. Okay, so the Bhonsle faction ruled from Nagpur. Okay, so when was the second Anglo-Maratha war fought? Okay, the second Anglo-Maratha was fought between 1803 to 1805. The correct answer is 1803 to 1805. The Peshwa is also known as the fighting Peshwa. Now, if you have seen the movie Bajirao Mastani, you might have seen many action scenes where Bajirao, okay, played by Ranveer Kapoor, was always fighting against someone. Okay, so that is why he was. And the best part of this guy, that is Bajirao 1, he was never defeated. He fought around 41 battles, and he was never defeated. He actually died because of infection. Okay, so this is something similar to Alexander the Great. Alexander the Great, okay, he also fought many battles and he was also never defeated. Similarly, we have Bajirao. He fought around 41 battles, okay, and he was also never defeated. And both of them died because of infection. They never died because of sword or being killed. They died of infection. Okay. So the correct answer is 26. Correct answer is option A, Bajirao. Okay, Bajirao. Okay. Then we have who was the third Chhatrapati of Maratha Empire? Now this is a very simple question. Now this is something we have discussed earlier. Okay, so we have this guy, that is Shivaji, not guy. Okay, Shivaji. He was the first ruler. Then we have Sambhaji. Okay, Sambhaji. And then we have one more son of Shivaji, that is Raja Ram. Okay, Raja Ram. So Raja Ram was the third Chhatrapati of Maratha Empire. Okay, so the correct answer is Raja Ram. Okay, so let me just add Raja Ram. Okay. Which Peshwa was deposed after Barbai? I'm sorry, this spelling is actually wrong. Okay, so this spelling is Barbai. Barbai. Okay, so Barbai is a place, and the Peshwa who was deposed of after Barbai conspiracy was Raghunath Rao. The reason he was deposed of because he actually assassinated the ruling Peshwa, the running Peshwa. Okay, so he actually had assassinated this guy, Narayan Rao, and that is why he was deposed of after Barbai conspiracy. Okay, so he basically ruled for just 1 year, that is from 1772 to 1773. After that, he was deposed of by Nana Fadnavis, Mahadaji Shinde, and Tukurji Holkar. Okay, so let me just take you to the 29th question. Who was the last Peshwa? Where was the last Peshwa exiled to? Now, after basically the third Anglo Mysore, I'm sorry, Anglo Maratha war, the last Peshwa, that was basically Bajirao II. He was sent to a place called as Bithur. It's somewhere near Kanpur and Uttar Pradesh, somewhere near Uttar Pradesh, actually in Uttar Pradesh. And so the correct answer is Bithur. Okay, Bithur. The Muslim artilleryman who helped the Peshwas in the Battle of Panipat. Now, basically, remember this. This is Indian subcontinent, and here we have Marathas. Okay, This is Marathas. And here we had the Nizams. Okay, the Nizams. So before the Battle of Panipat, 1761, there was a Battle of Udaygir. Okay, there was a Battle of Udaygir that was between Marathas and the Nizams. The Nizams were defeated, and they are an artillery guy. So artillery guy is basically the guy who runs the cannon. Cannon is basically, top, right? So basically, there was a guy called as Ibrahim Khan Gardi. Okay, Ibrahim Khan Gardi. He was the artilleryman of the Nizam. So when the Nizams were defeated, he joined the Marathas. Okay, so he basically served in the Battle of Panipat. So this is something really important question. Ibrahim Khan Gardi. Okay, so let's move on. The power vacuum created by the decline of Marathas was filled by. Now, obviously, this is a very easy question. We have options like French, Afghans, British, and Dutch. Now, after the decline of Marathas, remember this. Now, earlier the Mughals were the paramount power. Okay, after the decline of Mughals, the Marathas became the paramount power, and after the decline of Marathas, the Britishers became the paramount power. So the correct answer is, it's pretty much obvious. It's the Britishers. Option C, British. Shahu was helped by this man who later became the Peshwa. Now, this is something we have discussed earlier. Okay, Shahu was released from the prison. Okay, by after the death of Aurangzeb. Aurangzeb died in 1707, and Shahu was released in 1707 or 1708. So Shahu was challenged by a person called as Tarabai. We have already discussed it, and Tarabai. Okay, so we had two factions, that is Tarabai's faction and Shahu's faction. So Shahu was new because he was in jail. Tarabai had so much power, she had so much help, and yet Shahu was able to defeat Tarabai because he was supported by a man called as Balaji Vishwanath. Balaji Vishwanath. Okay, so basically Balaji Vishwanath was one of the reasons why Tarabai was defeated, and Balaji became the first Peshwa. Remember this, Balaji became the first Peshwa. So the correct answer is option C, Balaji Vishwanath. Okay, when was the Sangola Agreement signed? So Sangola Agreement is basically an agreement. So let me just explain you what Sangola Agreement is. So you have Shivaji. Okay, so basically he was the first ruler of the Maratha kingdom, the first Chhatrapati. Then we have Shambhaji. Then we have Rajaram. Okay, and then we have Shahu. Okay, Shahu. So basically these are the real rulers, just like our president. Okay, these were the rulers. Now after Shahu became the Peshwa, he was supported by a faction called as the Peshwas. So the Peshwa, for the first Peshwa was Balaji Vishwanath. Okay, and then the second Peshwa was Bajirao, and the third Peshwa was Balaji Bajirao. Okay, so after Shahu, a guy came called as Rajaram. Okay, so he drafted an agreement that all the powers of the Peshwas, all the powers of the Maratha kingdom will be given to the Peshwas, and this treaty is called as the Sangola Agreement. Okay, and it was signed in 1750. So the correct answer is 1750. Okay, so let me just mark this, 1750. Acha. So which Rohilla king supported the invader Ahmad Shah Abdali? Okay, so this is something we can discuss again. So in 1761 we have the third battle of Panipat. Obvious, we already know that. So it was fought between the Marathas and the Afghans. The Afghans were supported by a bunch of people. They were also Afghans. It was known as the Rohillas. Okay, Rohillas. And they were also supported by the Nawab of Awadh. So these were the traitors of India who supported the invader. Okay, so the correct answer is Rohillas. Now, the leader of Rohilla was Najib ud Daula. Remember this, the leader of Rohillas was Najib ud Daula. So the correct answer is Najib ud Daula. So let me just mark this, Najib ud Daula. Okay. Then we have 35, who was called as the greatest in guerrilla tactics after Shivaji. Now, if you have seen the movie Bajirao Mastani, you have seen how awesomely Ranveer Singh fight. So basically, this movie Bajirao Mastani is taken from the real chapter of Bajirao. He was a tactician. He was never defeated in any war. This is something we have discussed earlier. So he was never defeated. So the correct answer is Bajirao. He was the greatest in guerrilla tactics after Shivaji. So the correct answer is Bajirao 1. Okay. Which Chhatrapati signed the Sangola agreement? So the Chhatrapati or the ruler which signed the Sangola agreement is Rajaram. We have discussed earlier. Okay. Who defeated the Siddhis of Janjira Island? The Siddhis of Janjira Island was defeated by Bajirao. Okay, so basically the Siddhis were of African origin. They were actually dacoits as well as merchants who were living in the island, and they were creating problems. So Bajirao defeated them. Okay, so it's nothing much important. So the correct answer is Bajirao 1. Okay. When was the third battle of Panipat fought? We obviously know it's 1761. It's very easy answer, 1761. Which Peshwa took the help from Britishers against Holkar? Now, Holkar became, now as you already know this, we have the Peshwa, okay, and then we have the factions such as the Scindias, okay, then we have the Gaikwads, okay, we have the Holkars, we have the Bonsles, okay, and then we have one more group, okay, Scindia, Holkar, there is one more group, I actually can't remember this. Scindias, Gaikwad, Holkar, Bonsle, and I can't remember that group. Okay, so so we have already Gaikwads, Scindias, Holkars, uh, Bonsles. Okay, I don't think there is one more group. I'm sorry, I forgot. So these were the four group, okay, who supported the Peshwa, and the Peshwa eventually became weak. The Peshwa title was eventually became weak and really corrupt and inefficient. Eventually, the Holkars became really powerful. The Holkars were ruling this part of Indore. Okay, so the Holkar was really powerful, and basically the Holkars invaded the Peshwas, and the Peshwas were defeated. So the Peshwa who took the help from the Britishers to save him, okay, was Bajirao II. Okay, so the correct answer is Bajirao II. Okay. Then we have the last question, who started the 27-year war in Deccan? So basically the 27-year war is a famous war that was started by Aurangzeb. Okay, so it was started in 1681. Okay, so it was started in 1681 and it continued till 1707 till the death of Aurangzeb, and it was started in Deccan by Aurangzeb against the Marathas. So the correct answer is option C, Marathas. Okay, so the correct answer is C, option C, Marathas. But I'm sorry, Aurangzeb. Okay, so we have solved around 40 questions. So let me just click on finish and let's check our score. Let me just click on finish. Okay, so our score is 37. So we have done some wrong. So let's explore where we have wrong. So let me just scroll down. So which answer is wrong? Okay, so this is right. This is right. Okay. So the Treaty of Bassein was signed in 1802. I'm sorry. The correct answer is 1802. Okay. I'm sorry about that. Now there are two more things that is wrong. Okay. So let's explore that also. Okay. So yeah. Okay. So who was the third Chhatrapati of Maratha Empire? Now the third Chhatrapati was definitely Rajaram, and we accidentally marked it as Shahu. So the correct answer is Rajaram. Okay. Then let's explore the last question, because there are three answers which are wrong. So which is the last one which is wrong? Okay, let me just scroll down. Okay, I guess only, so which answer is wrong? I'm sorry, let me just check. Okay, so out of 40, 37 are right. That means 3 are wrong. So let me just check which one. Which is that question that went wrong? Okay, nope. Okay, so we have figured this out. Okay. Okay, so we have done that also. Balaji Vishwanath. Sangola agreement was signed in 1750. That is true. That is right. Seems correct. I think it's a problem with the software. Okay. So technically, we have got two answers wrong. Okay. And this is something you can understand. There were 40 questions, and I accidentally marked two answers wrong. Okay. And this is how you solve these questions. You go to this site, okay, and solve this question, and after that, you just check it yourself. Okay. Okay, so now let's discuss some MCQs on Sikh Empire. So let's start with the first one. Okay, so the first question is the female leader of the Sikh Empire after the death of Ranjit Singh. So basically, Ranjit Singh died and he had several wives. Now, out of all these five, he had one favorite wife. And this favorite wife was eventually became one of the most powerful women in the Sikh Empire. The Britishers were really scared of her. And the empress or the queen or the powerful leader was Rani Jindan Singh. So the correct answer is Rani Jindan Singh. Okay, now the second question is which guru was the first martyr for the religion? Now we have 10 gurus of Sikh. Okay, remember we have 10 gurus of Sikh. Now two gurus were executed by Mughal emperors. Now the first guru who was executed by the Mughal administration was Guru Arjan Dev. Okay, option D, Guru Arjan Dev. Now this is a very important question. Okay, Guru Arjan Dev was the first guru who was executed by Mughal emperors. Remember this. Okay. Now what is Jatta? Jatta basically means after the death of Guru Gobind Singh and especially after Banta Bahadur, before the establishment of the Sikh Empire under Ranjit Singh, the Sikh groups were categorized as Jattas. Okay, so basically these were small raiding parties of the Sikh. They were plunderers and they actually exploited or looted Mughal administrators or Mughal nobles. So the correct answer is small Sikh raiding parties. Okay, the correct answer is small Sikh raiding parties. Okay, so the question number fourth. When did Ranjit Singh conquer Lahore? So basically, Ranjit Singh conquered Lahore in 1799. After that, he actually went beyond Satluj. Okay, so remember this one important thing. In 1699, okay, I repeat this again. In 1699, 100 years before Ranjit Singh conquered Lahore, Guru Gobind Singh established the Khalsa Panth. Okay, so it is quite amazing that within a span of 100 years, the Sikhs were able to conquer Lahore. So the correct answer is 1799, option C. Okay, the contemporary of Emperor Aurangzeb. So out of all these, the contemporary, the person who was also living in the same time of Aurangzeb was, the first option is Guru Nanak. Guru Nanak was actually the contemporary of Emperor Bahadur. I'm sorry, Emperor Babur. Okay, so this is wrong. Guru Angad was the second Guru. Can't be possible. Guru Tegh Bahadur. Now, Guru Tegh Bahadur was executed under the orders of Aurangzeb. So that means that Guru Tegh Bahadur was the contemporary of Aurangzeb. So the correct answer is option C. So when was the Treaty of Lahore signed? Okay, so the Treaty of Lahore was signed in 9th March 1846. Now this is a very important treaty because the Sikh army was defeated after the first Anglo-Sikh wars. Okay, now this happened sometime later after the death of Ranjit Singh, and the Sikh army was defeated by the English army, the East Indian Company. So because they were defeated, they were forced to sign the Treaty of Lahore. So the correct answer is 9th March 1846. The first Anglo-Sikh war was fought under this Governor General. So it was under the Governor Generalship of Lord Hardinge. The first Anglo-Sikh war was fought. So the correct answer is option A, Lord Hardinge. Okay. Then the Sikh martial arts was known as Gatka. Remember this. This is a very important question. When it comes to modern history, this is a very important question that the Sikh martial arts is known as Gatka. The correct answer is Gatka. Okay, so the Sikh leader after Guru Gobind Singh was, this is the ninth question. Now Guru Gobind Singh, okay, now there were many factions of under the Sikhs itself. We had Khatris, we had Aroras, we had Ahluwalias. Now to bring all these factions together, Guru Gobind Singh decided that he will be the last Guru of the Sikh. After him, there won't be any Guru of Sikhs. So The Sikh leader after Guru Gobind Singh was a military leader called as Banta Bahadur. The correct answer is Banta Bahadur. But he was not a guru. Okay, he was a leader, not a guru. The correct answer is Banta Bahadur. Okay, when was the military wing or the Khalsa Panth established by Guru Gobind Singh? Now, this is a very important question. Okay, so what happened 20 years earlier? Okay, around in 1675 or something, Guru Tegh Bahadur was executed by Aurangzeb. And by then, Guru Gobind Singh was very young. But when he grew, he established a military order, okay, a military faction called as the Khalsa Army. And this was established in 1699. Now, 1699 was the date, was the year when Khalsa Panth or the Khalsa Army was established. 100 years from now, Ranjit Singh, a Sikh, was eventually able to conquer Lahore and established a Sikh empire within a short span of 100 years. Remember, this is a very short span, 100 years. They were able to establish a huge empire. Remarkably marvelous. So the correct answer is option C, 1699. Okay. The decisive battle in which the English defeated the Sikhs in the first Anglo-Sikh war. Now there were actually many wars fought. Actually, there were many battles fought in Anglo-Sikh war. Actually, 5 or 6 of them. Now the most important and the most decisive one was Battle of Sabaron. Okay, the Battle of Sabaron. In this battle, the Sikhs were brutally defeated by East Indian Company, and the reason was the military leader Lal Singh betrayed the Sikhs. He gave the positions of the Sikh army to the East India Company. East India Company easily hunted down the Sikh leaders as well as the Sikh soldiers. And that is why the Sikhs were brutally defeated in the Battle of Sabaron. And in 1845 or 1846, the Sikhs were forced to sign the humiliating Treaty of Lahore. Okay, so the correct answer is Battle of Sabaron. Okay, so question number 12. When was the Treaty of Amritsar signed? Now, the Treaty of Amritsar was signed between Ranjit Singh and East India Company. Now, East India Company, whoever they were, the Britishers definitely, they actually respected Ranjit Singh. Okay, they knew that Ranjit Singh was a powerful ruler. They didn't try to mess with him. They didn't want to fight him. They knew Ranjit Singh was a powerful leader. But they were actually waiting that Ranjit Singh die, and eventually they were really interested in the Sikh Empire because the Sikh Empire lied in between the 5 rivers, the 5 rivers that passes through Lahore as well as the areas of Amritsar. It was a very fertile area, and the most important thing was that the English really wanted the Sikh Empire. For them, was Sikh Empire was actually a buffer zone between the Afghan Empire and India. So that is one of the reasons why English actually wanted to bring the Sikh Empire under their control. Now, when Ranjit Singh was the king, when he was the Maharaja, he was actually a very powerful ruler, and English never dared to mess with him. And that is why they made an agreement that Ranjit Singh would not be crossing Satluj, and the English would not be crossing Satluj. Okay, so basically, if this is Satluj, this will be acting as a boundary of Ranjit Singh, and from here it will be English, and they won't be crossing each other's side. They made an agreement, and English actually kept this agreement for a significant amount of time till Ranjit Singh's death. So, when was the Treaty of Amritsar signed? It was signed in 1809. The correct answer is 1809. Okay. Who established a simple Sikh ceremony for marriage? Now, now the problem was that when Sikhism was being founded, now obviously you know that many of the earliest Sikhs were actually Hindus. Now, one of the reasons why Hindus converted to Sikh is because of marriage. Okay, so basically what happened is the Hindus actually used a significant amount of their wealth for elaborate ceremonies during the marriage. And that is why the Sikh leader, Guru Amar Das, cancelled this ceremony, and he brought a very simple ceremony called as Anand Karaj. Okay, remember this, Anand Karaj, brought by Guru Amar Das. So the correct answer is Guru Amar Das. Guru Amar Das established a simple Sikh ceremony for marriage. Okay, question number 14. This Mughal emperor was the contemporary of Guru Nanak. Now this is a very important question. Now when Guru Nanak started preaching in the parts of Punjab, okay, Babur was establishing his Mughal kingdom in parts of India. Okay, so basically, while Sikhism was being founded, Mughal Emperor Babur was establishing his kingdom. So this is a very, very remarkable thing. Remember this, both these great legacies founded by Guru Nanak as well as Babur nearly happened at the same time. So the correct answer is Babur. Okay. Who is known as the Sher-e-Punjab? So basically, the Sher-e-Punjab is Ranjit Singh. He was the most powerful Sikh ruler. And after Ranjit Singh, there were a series of really weak, inefficient rulers. Now, the correct answer is definitely Maharaja Ranjit Singh. So, 15th correct answer is option A, Maharaja Ranjit Singh. This Sikh Guru transformed the Sikhs into a military force called as Khalsa. Now, Khalsa was established by Guru Gobind Singh. The reason was his father, that is Guru Tegh Bahadur, was executed by Aurangzeb under the orders of Aurangzeb. So the correct answer is Guru Gobind Singh. Okay, question number 17th. Who was the political agent of the East India Company after Treaty of Amritsar? So basically the idea is that when the Treaty of Amritsar was signed in 1809, the idea was that the English will be sending one political agent to the Sikh kingdom. And this political agent, or basically a diplomat, is Major Bradford. Okay, the correct answer is Major Bradford. Now, who was the immediate ruler after Ranjit Singh? Now, after the death of Ranjit Singh, we have a series of weak rulers. And the immediate successor after Ranjit Singh was Khadak Singh. The correct answer is Khadak Singh. He was installed as the Guru of Sikh at the young age of 5. So basically, Guru Hari Krishna was established or installed as the youngest Guru. He didn't even know what was going on, and he was basically put on the Sikh throne, not throne. Basically, he was addressed as the Guru from the young age of 5. So the correct answer is Guru Har Krishnan. The Sikh Guru compiled Adi Granth. So basically, I think. Okay, so let's begin the first question. Who innovated the Mysorean rockets, or who invented the Mysorean rockets? Mysorean rockets was one of the reason why Hyder Ali was able to defeat the Britishers in the first Anglo-Mysore war. So the correct answer is Hyder Ali. So he was the first. So he was the first of the kingdoms, the first of the kings, or he was essentially called as the Nawabs by the Britishers as well as the Marathas. So the correct answer, who innovated or who invented the Mysorean rockets, is Hyder Ali. Okay, so the correct answer is option B, Hyder Ali. When was Hyder Ali given the title as Nawab of Mysore? Now remember this. Hyder Ali took himself as the king of Mysore. Okay, he was the Sultan of Mysore. Now, for the Marathas as well as the Britishers, who were the paramount powers of India, Indian subcontinent, for them he was just another Nawab. Now, the Nawab of Mysore, the title was given by the court of Mysore. That was in 1759. It was not until 1761 Hyder Ali became the paramount power of Mysore. So the correct answer is 1759. He became the Nawab of Mysore. In 1761, he became the actual ruler of Mysore. So the correct answer is 1759, option A. Second option answer is option A, 1759. Which of this Mughal emperor is a contemporary of Hyder Ali? Now, the contemporary ruler, or basically the ruler, the Mughal emperor who lived in the same time of that of Hyder Ali, was Shah Alam. Okay, so the correct answer is Shah Alam. Option C, Shah Alam. When did the first Anglo-Mysore war begin? Now remember this, in 1761, Hyder Ali became the ruler of Mysore. And in 1761, the Battle of Panipat occurred. And in Battle of Panipat, the Marathas were defeated by Afghans. So back then, Marathas and the Britishers were the paramount powers. Technically, the Marathas were the paramount powers. After 1761, the Maratha power gradually declined. And 1761 is the date when Hyder Ali became the actual ruler. Now, Hyder Ali had two enemies, the Marathas and the Britishers. Okay, and since the Marathas were occupied with some other things, Hyder Ali fought against the Britishers in 1761. So 1761 is the date when the first Anglo-Mysore War began, and the British was brutally defeated. So the correct answer is 1761. Okay, so question number 5. This is a very important question. This is a very important questions for exams like RRB. Where did Hyder Ali build a weapons factory with help from French? So basically, he built a modern factory for building weapons in Dindigul. So the correct answer is option C, Dindigul. Okay, so these three powers teamed up against Hyder Ali. Now this is the map. Okay, so basically this is the map. Okay, so this is the map of Indian subcontinent. We have at the near bottom, that is Hyder Ali. Okay, and then we have the Kerala. Let's ignore Kerala for a while. So this is the Mysore kingdom led by Hyder Ali, and here at the top we have not exactly top, we have the Marathas, and here we have the Nizams. Okay, the Marathas and the Nizams, and from the east and some parts of the south we have the Britishers. Okay, so here are the Britishers. So basically the Britishers, the Marathas and the Nizams, they all became a gang and attacked Mysore. Okay, so they all attacked Mysore. So the correct answer, the three powers teamed up against Hyder Ali, was the Marathas, the Nizam of Hyderabad, and of course the Britishers. So let's check which are the options. French, Dutch, British. That is wrong. British, Marathas, Nizam of Hyderabad. The correct answer is option B, British, Marathas, Nizam of Hyderabad. Okay, so that's it. Okay, then we have when was the Treaty of Madras signed? Now the Treaty of Madras was signed after the first Anglo-Mysore War, and after the Anglo-Mysore War, the Britishers were actually defeated in Anglo-Mysore War. Okay, and the reason why Britishers were defeated is because of the rockets that was built by Hyder Ali. So the correct answer is the Treaty of Madras was signed in 1769. Okay. Tipu Sultan was a part of Allied Club. So he was part of a Jacobins club. Okay, so the correct answer is Jacobin. This is something you have to memorize. Jacobins club. This is a very important question. When was the second Anglo-Mysore War fought? So the second Anglo-Mysore was fought between 1780 to 1784. And during the second Anglo-Mysore War, Hyder Ali, the ruler of Mysore, he died because of cancer, and he was later succeeded by his son Tipu Sultan. So the correct answer is option A, 1780 to 1784. Okay. The Treaty of Mangalore was signed in. So basically the Treaty of Mangalore was signed immediately after the second Anglo-Mysore War, and the Anglo-Mysore War ended in 1784. So the correct answer is 1784. Basically in the second Anglo-Mysore War, no one won. Okay, so they had a fight between the Mysore kingdom led by Tipu Sultan and the Britishers. So basically this is something happened. Okay, let me just explain you. It will just take 2 minutes. So we have the first Anglo-Mysore War. Okay, Anglo-Mysore War. And in the first Anglo-Mysore War, the Britishers, that is Anglo, okay, they are held by the term Anglo, they were defeated. And it was dealt by Hyder Ali. Now once again, the second Anglo-Mysore was fought between Britishers and of course the Mysorean kingdom led by Hyder Ali. But Hyder Ali died during this time because of cancer. And technically this was a stalemate. No one really won. Okay, so nothing really happened. Only thing that happened was Treaty of Mangalore, where they exchanged the prisoners and they just gave back the territories they have won or lost. That's all. No one really won. Then we have the third Anglo-Mysore War. Okay, again Britishers versus the Mysorean kingdom. This time it was led by Tipu Sultan. Okay, and Tipu Sultan was defeated. Okay, and then we have the fourth Anglo-Mysorean War. Okay, in which Tipu Sultan died while defending his capital. Okay, so the correct answer is 1784. Okay, remember this. The two parties signed the Treaty of Mangalore. The two parties that signed the Treaty of Mangalore is definitely Mysore and the Britishers. So it's nothing really special. Hyder Ali and British, yes, Hyder Ali and British. Okay, so basically this is actually wrong. The two parties signed the Treaty of Mangalore is Tipu Sultan and British. This is actually a tricky question. Now, this is something I have mentioned just now. Okay, you have in the first Anglo-Mysore War, you have the leader, that is Hyder Ali. Okay, he led the Mysorean kingdom. In the second Anglo-Mysorean War, okay, The war was started under the leadership of Hyder Ali, but Hyder Ali died because of cancer. And the next stage of assault, the next stage of leadership was led by Tipu Sultan. Okay, Tipu Sultan. So this second Anglo-Mysore was a draw. No one really won, and they signed the Treaty of Mangalore. The Treaty of Mangalore, that is why, was signed between Tipu Sultan and Britishers. Okay, so the correct answer is Tipu Sultan and Britishers. Okay, so let me just mark 11th option B. The British refused to honor this treaty when Marathas attacked Mysore kingdom. So after the first Anglo-Mysore war, the treaty was signed was the Treaty of Madras, and the treaty state that if one of the kingdoms, okay, doesn't matter the British kingdom or the Mysorean kingdom is attacked by another external force, each of them will help to defend them. For example, if Mysore kingdom was attacked by, let's say, Nizam, the British will help the Mysore kingdom. Okay, and if again if the Britishers were attacked by, let's say, Marathas, okay, or any other kingdom, or let's say French, the Mysorean kingdom will help the Britishers. Okay, but unfortunately, in when the Marathas attacked the Mysorean kingdom, the Britishers never kept up their promise, and unfortunately, Hyder Ali lost a significant portion of his territory due to the Maratha attack, and he stopped trusting the Britishers. He later went and approached the French. Okay, so the correct answer is Treaty of Madras. Okay, so this is the treaty that Britishers refused to honor. You really can't trust the Britishers. Okay. The Governor General who declared the war against the Mysore kingdom. So it was Lord Cornwallis. Okay, it's a very simple question. Lord Cornwallis. You just have to mug it up. Who signed the Treaty of Serangipatnam? So Serangipatnam Treaty was signed by Tipu Sultan after his defeat in Third Anglo-Mysore War. Tipu Sultan never won any war. He was always defeated. So basically, he managed to make it as a draw in the Second Anglo-Mysore War. He lost a significant portion and territory in the Third Anglo-Mysore War, and he died like a hero while defending his capital in the Fourth Anglo-Mysore War. He never won any war, but he's still a hero. He's definitely a hero because he defended his capital. So the correct answer is who signed the Treaty of Serangipatnam, that is Tipu Sultan. So when was the Battle of Serangipatnam fought? So Battle of Serangipatnam was fought in 1799. So basically Tipu Sultan died in this battle, and he died like a hero. Okay, so we have solved around 15 questions. Let me just click on finish to check how many of them are right. So we have got an excellent score, that is 100%, 15 out of 15 correct. Thanks. So this is the first question. Nawab who shifted the capital of Awadh kingdom. Now this is we have discussed many times. The Nawab who shifted the capital was Asafuddaulah. So basically the first option, that is Asafuddaulah, is the correct one. Then we have the second, who was the fourth Nawab of Awadh. Okay, so this is something again we have discussed. The fourth Nawab of Awadh was Asafuddaulah. So we are going to toggle this. Okay, Asafuddaulah. Ahmad Shah Abdali was supported by this Indian Nawab. Okay, so Ahmad Shah Abdali invaded India in 1761. Actually, he invaded India a lot of times. But 1761, there was this Battle of Panipat, the third Battle of Panipat. Okay, the third Battle of Panipat. Ahmad Shah Abdali was supported by this Nawab. Okay, the Nawab who supported Ahmad Shah Abdali was Shuja ud Daula. So the correct answer is Shuja ud Daula. Okay. Then we have the fourth question. Shuja ud Daula was forced to sign this treaty. The treaty that Shuja ud Daula was forced to sign was by the Britishers was Treaty of Allahabad or Treaty of Banaras. Okay, so the answer is first one, that is Treaty of Allahabad. Now if you have trouble solving this MCQ, this is because you haven't seen the lecture. Please go and see the lecture, and afterwards you can solve this MCQ by your own. Okay, so let's explore the fifth question. This invader defeated Sadat Khan. So Sadat Khan was the founder of the Nawab of Awadh. He was the founder of the Awadh kingdom. He teamed up with the Muhammad Shah, that is the Mughal ruler. Muhammad Shah and Sadat Khan fought against Nadir Shah. Nadir Shah invaded India and he took Sadat Khan as the prisoner. Sadat Khan was defeated by Nadir Shah. We have already learned this. So the answer is fourth, that is Nadir Shah, option D. Who fought Battle of Buxar against Britishers? Okay, so we already know this. The Battle of Buxar was fought by three people against the Britishers. One of them was Nawab of Awadh, the second one was Mughal Emperor, and the third one was Nawab of Bengal. So the correct answer is option C. Nawab of Awadh plus Mughals plus Nawab of Bengal. Easy? Okay. Then we have the seventh question. Mughal Emperor taken as prisoner with Sadat Khan by Nadir Shah. Okay, so this is something we have discussed many times. Nadir Shah was the invader from Persia. He invaded India and the Mughal Emperor was defeated. Along with Sadat Khan, Muhammad Shah, the Mughal Emperor, was taken as a prisoner. So the correct answer is option C, Muhammad Shah. Okay. Then the Battle of Karnal was fought in. Okay, so when Nadir Shah invaded India, there was a pitched battle. Nadir Shah fought against Muhammad Shah and Sadat Khan. And this battle was fought in Karnal. And the Battle of Karnal was fought in 1739. Very important date, 1739. So the correct answer is D, 1739. When was the third Battle of Panipat fought? Now this is a very simple question. This question will come again and again. So the correct answer is 1761. I repeat this again, 1761. Okay, so the correct answer is 1761. The initial capital of Awadh Nawabs was located in. Now, Asaf-ud-Daula shifted the capital from from Faizabad to Lucknow. The initial capitals of Nawab of Awadh were, it was in Faizabad. So the correct answer is Faizabad, option B. Okay, so basically we have checked all of our options, all of our questions. Now let's check our answers if it is right or wrong. So let me just click on finish. Okay, so let's explore. Yes, our answer is 10 out of 10, 100%. Okay, so this is how you can solve. Now 10 days before RRB exam, you are not going to watch this video or the lecture. You just have to look for the PDF, just give a read, and after that solve this MCQ. Your revision will be totally over. So let's straight away solve some MCQs. There are around only 5 of them, 5 MCQs, easy MCQs. Okay, so who were the Rajas of Calicut called? Okay, who were the Rajas of Calicut called? So basically they were called as Zamorins. Okay, remember this is a very important name, Zamorins. Second question, when did Hyder Ali invaded Kerala? So Hyder Ali invaded Kerala in 1766. Okay, so this was after the Battle of Panipat. 1761 is the day 1761 is the year when Panipat happened, and after Panipat, the paramount power of that time, that was the Marathas, they slowly declined, and it gave the opportunity for new kingdoms like Kingdom of Mysore, led by Hyder Ali, to become a powerful kingdom, and he invaded Kerala. That was 1766. What was the initial capital of Travancore kings? So the initial capital of Travancore kings was the first option, Padmabapuram. Okay, I don't know how to pronounce that. I'm sorry about that. Padmabapuram. Okay, this ruler from Kerala, who was one of the few Indian rulers who defeated the European powers. Now, as you already know that Britishers were not the only power who invaded India. There were other powers like the French, the Dutch. Okay, so basically the Dutch arrived in Kerala and they were defeated by this Kerala king called as Marthanda Varma. Okay, the correct answer is option D, Marthanda Varma. Remember this is really important, Marthanda Varma, because he is one of those few kings who managed to defeat the European powers. Marthanda Varma. Okay. This ruler made Trivandrum as the center for arts and culture. So the correct answer is Ramavarma. So Marthanda's son, Marthanda's son was Ramavarma, and he was also an accomplished warrior. At the same time, he was a great patron of art and literature. So he made Trivandrum as a flourishing capital of Kerala. So after Ramavarma, as usual, it was a decline. So the correct answer is option D, Ramavarma. So let's check how many of our answers are correct. So let me just click on finish. Okay, so our result is 100%, 5 out of 5 correct. Excellent.